Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Esoteric on our continuing series, PGM Pandemonium, where I took a look at 8 of my favorite IGS PGM games of all time, and today we're taking a look at Demon Front. I actually did a video on this for Unported Playlist almost a year and a half ago, and I've kind of reassessed my opinions about the game. I still think it's amazing, but some of the other thoughts that I had have slightly changed. Before we get too far involved, do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like, subscribe, and that notification bell definitely helps us out. If you feel so inclined to want to support the channel, we got a Patreon link in the description below as well. The last time that I talked about this game, I said how spectacular it was, but I also said that it was a blatant clone or ripoff of the Metal Slug series. Some people tended to agree with that, and some people said that it did enough unique to make it its own game. And I've kind of hewn towards maybe that it's not a complete clone of Metal Slug at this point in time. Now, of course, just looking at it, you can see immediately so many different similarities. But the more that I've played this game and the more that I've tried to get good at it, the more that it feels enough away from a Metal Slug game to say that Demon Front can stand on its own, not just being compared to the Slug franchise. But right off the top, similarities that it does have with Metal Slug is just how gorgeous the sprite work and the 2D artwork is. Demon Front is a spectacular game to see in motion, and even if you pause it looks incredible too. IGS had artists that could rival anything that SNK was doing. It is amazing how this smaller company from Taiwan was able to make such spectacular looking games, and I would say that Demon Front may be one of the best looking 16-bit arcade games of all time. I know there's plenty of candidates out there for that title, but to me, I just love everything about the graphics of this game. But of course, graphics are nothing without gameplay, and this is an amazing run-and-gun shooter for arcades. This is as good as anything you're going to play. I would put Demon Front up against Metal Slug X any day of the week, and I wouldn't say it would beat it. I would say it's a dead heat tie, and it comes down to kind of the visuals and aesthetics you like. But I love how when we go into the tunnel here, Demon Front's always changing. Everything is unique, all the colors, all the settings. It's always doing something different visually, and all the visuals look incredible. You can see what look like ribs from a giant beast that's died a long time ago in the background. We have all these different bamboo platforms. It's always giving you something incredible to look at, and it's always worth looking at. But as far as the boss battles are concerned, they're epic too. We're taking a look at Big Claw here. Each boss battle can be a 1 to 2 minute affair, and there's a lot of pattern recognition in it. And it's really fun because as you learn the game more, as you play it more and you learn the bosses, suddenly you become very good at it, and you can take a boss down without losing a single life if you get good. And that's what I love about this genre so much, is that not only is it action-packed, not only is it a quick playthrough, but if you actually take the time to learn and study the game, you can become incredibly efficient at it, and all of a sudden it starts feeling like you're clicking with it, and it's just a great feeling. Now the bummer about Demon Front is just how few people seem to know about this. It seems like the entire PGM platform is obscure, because this game is absolutely one of the best arcade running guns I've ever played, but I never hear it mentioned. For every 100 mentions of the Metal Slug series that you will see online, you may see 1 to 2 mentions of Demon Front. So part of this video is just to get you hyped up on it, and hopefully you go out and play it too. Now it is one of the more difficult carts to find for the PGM, but it's still not that expensive. Right now, at the time of recording this video, there's a copy on Tops Japan for sale for about $350 US, and that is a good deal for what you're getting. And if you compare that to a Metal Slug MVS cart, you could spend a lot more, and if you're talking about AES carts, the sky is the limit for the pricing on that. But it's just so much fun in motion. Look at the background, all that parallax scrolling, all the detail. Even though you barely have a chance to look at anything, the artists have put so many different details in this game. Even that receding track into the background with the heat waves going on, you're only going to look at it for 1 to 2 seconds before you run by it, but they've just crammed those details in. This game is as fun to look at as it is to play, and that's why I love it so much. Like I said, it's not better than a Metal Slug game, but it's as good as a Metal Slug game, and don't be stupid, jump at the pit. This one area always gives me hell, and I always die a bunch in it, because if you get knocked back or try to avoid something, you may end up taking a death that feels slightly cheap. But honestly, that's the most minor of complaints. And the soundtrack is absolutely spectacular too. It's got this kind of cartoony vibe. So go ahead and listen to the soundtrack for like 45 seconds or a minute. I'll come back and tell you more about why Demon Front's the hidden gem that you need to play. But enjoy. Yeah, it's just a perfect soundtrack for what it's trying to do. It's upbeat, it's cartoony, it's driving home the visuals and imagery. It is just absolutely outstanding as far as I'm concerned. But I'm fighting Twin Horn here, and I also love the announcer telling you the enemy's name. The boss battles are just absolutely epic, and each one is different, even though it's the same mechanic, which is dodge bullets while also hitting them. I love how slow it moves and how you have these obstacles to get around. You've got these sacks of flour here, whatever they are, and you will see that I'm using a shield. And one of the core mechanics that expands on what Metal Slug does is you have your animal helpers, and they have two functions. One, you can turn them on as a shield, or two, you can do a charge shot and they will attack the enemy for you. And as you hit things, as you punch them, whether it's the sacks of flour you saw or different enemies, it's going to give you a +1 to your heart meter at the top left. And you definitely need to manage that, because if you're going to use your animal buddy to get you further in the game and to make it easier on you, you're always going to want to be getting those hearts coming out. It's an important mechanic in the game that's just an extra layer that I really enjoy. But the weaponry is great too. Now we have this basically shotgun blast, but it looks like it's almost made out of air. But you're going to have your regular shot, you're going to have your machine gun, you're going to have a freeze beam, you're going to have a grenade launcher. It gives you a ton of different fun weaponry to deal with. But the best part is you'll just see how many enemies it'll move around on screen at once, and this has very little to no slowdown. So as far as this compared to Metal Slug, even though I think the games are equally as good, I will say that the PGM hardware with that Motorola 68000 running at 8 megahertz faster than the Neo Geo definitely allows for less slowdown on screen compared to something like Metal Slug X. I don't think the slowdown matters whatsoever when you compare the two games together, but I know that's one of those things that people talk about all the time when they do talk about the Metal Slug games. But again, just look at all the visuals on the screen. You have these enemies that have squids on their back that are shooting at you, and they have life preservers around them, and you have these giant hairy crabs with missile launchers on their back. The enemy design is super creative. You even have jetpack enemies that are going to go up and down on the screen to try to attack you. It's just so much fun to look at, and you wish you could kind of just pause the game and stare at all the pixel art to enjoy it. But I will say this game gets quite difficult, and getting good at it will be quite hard, because you'll see Evil Eyes here is just going to start throwing everything plus the kitchen sink at you of all these different little parachute guys, and if you don't shoot them or hit them with your fists at the right time, you're going to be taking deaths. And as the game goes on further, each stage gets harder. Now at the top you can pick 3 different stages and unlock 2, and the order in which you take them on will make them easier or harder. If you started the stage at the beginning, it wouldn't be so hard. So if you do want to try to get to a 1 credit continue status on this game, you kind of want to identify what stage gives you the hardest time, and you want to start with that one to make it easier on you. I love this gooey eyeball with almost looks like it has a shrimp shell on the back. You just get a little bit more coins out of them if you shoot them. It doesn't really functionally change anything. It's just a high score mechanic. But as we move on to the next stage, again, it's just breathtaking to look at. My favorite part about Demon Front is the artwork. It's stylistic, it's got amazing colors, it's got detail in every single frame, and even that guy in the back just chugging that beer. It's completely essential for the style of the game. It doesn't bring anything to it, but this game shines because of the amount of detail that's put into it. So if you've never heard of Demon Front or you've never played it, I can't recommend enough you play it after this video is done. And if you have played it, leave me a comment down below and tell me what you think. Do you think it's as good as Metal Slug? Do you think it's slightly better? Do you think it's slightly worse? Short of that, I will be back next Tuesday with our episode in the PGM series. I'll have videos on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday as well. Do me a favor, hit like and subscribe to that notification bell. It definitely helps us out. But trust me, if you've never played this game before, you have to. Bye-bye.